Good afternoon, everybody. How are we all? Hi, Katie. Hi, Connie. Can you all hear me okay? Hi, Jasmine. Hi, Beverly. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Val. Hi, Sharon. What's your weather like in Ontario, Sharon? Is it very, very cold? Hi, Janet. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Sue. I thought you said you weren't going to make it. Made them eat lunch and walk fast. They're all having indigestion this afternoon. Don't you go blaming me. Hi, Julie. Hi, Donna. Thank you. Great. I've got the window open, so you might hear extra noises. Not that it's particularly warm, it's just warm in my craft room. Hi, Bonnie. Been nice lately for February. Oh, well, lucky you. I wish it was nice for February here. It's freezing. Hi, Evelyn. Hi, Nettie. Excuse me. Dead croaky for some reason. Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Jean. Sunny in the north of England. Well, lucky you. I've forgotten what sun is down here. Although I have to say, what day was it? Saturday it was really sunny. But that was just Saturday. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Suzanne. It's nice to see so many of you here again. Thank you so much for joining me. Hi, Sandy. Okay, let's make a start, shall we? Because there's a couple of cards. One is literally just a technique-y thing. I've done everything else for it. I just wanted to show you the technique. And really it was a card that our lovely Sue Peachy had done, which was quite moody looking, for want of a better description. So I just wanted to show you my take on something similar. I don't think I've done it exactly the same way that Sue will have done it, but hey ho. It's my interpretation, and that's what our cards are there for, to give you some inspiration to go away and use your product and make something fabulous. Because you can all make something fabulous with everything you buy, because that's what it does. It's genius. I'm sorry about the light on my product, but there's not a lot I can do about it because it's fixed to the wall. I don't blame you, Janet. Well, yeah, it was cold here as well, Connie, to be fair. Sat with your cuppa. So I couldn't find your phone. Well, you found it now, Julie, obviously. Hi, Pauline. Okay, so let's just quickly run through. I am sorry. I don't know where this croaky thing's come from. I'll do my best. So if I just quickly run through the product that I'm going to use today, I've put it there on the screen for you so that if you don't have time to write it all down now, it's there on the video, and it will always be there on the video. Okay, so that's a given. It's also in the description box down below, so you can always find it. There's two ways of finding it: on that slide or in the description box below the video. So I'll quickly run through them. The Floribunda vase. On my days, this collection, I know I say it all the time, but every time I think I've got the best, she brings something else out, and then that just blows the other things out of the water. This collection is amazing. You are going to be so happy with what you get. I promise. It's brilliant. So I'm using the vase. I've already done my piece that I'm going to use today, but I am going to stencil the vase for you today, but I have done one ahead of time. So obviously that comes with a die, as 99% of Lisa's embossing folders now come with a die, as you know. Okay, I'm also using the layering stencils, and these will make an artist out of simply anybody. Your first one will be your worst one, normally. although I have seen some cards in the group this week that say this is my first card, and they were amazing. So just goes to show, you know, anybody can do this. It's a fabulous system. So I'm just going to put that there. I'm also using the background embossing folder, but not on the first card. That's for the second card. Okay. I'm also using the Crackle stamp. I love this stamp. One of the very, very early ones. I really don't think this is available anymore. I haven't checked, I've got to be honest. The Sandstone Wall embossing folder. And I'm using this one because this card, I know Sandy particularly asked for a demo of the card that Mary Kelly did, the pop-out double bridge card, which is what I'm making. And on her card, Mary used the brickwork embossing folder. I didn't want to use the same one. I wanted to use something different, so that's why I went for the Sandstone Wall. And then I've used these fabulous sets of stamps. I've used this one on the second card, and then I've used one from each of these sets. So I've used Have a Wonderful Day and Happy Birthday. So I've used both sets, and they work fabulously together, as does all of Lisa's stuff. And I've also used the Off the Edge Vintage Roses. Not on the front of the card, this is on the back of the card, just to give the back a bit of interest. Okay, so that's everything that I've used, and now we will go and do the stenciling. So if I swap this for the colours, those are the colours of the inks that I've used today. Now there are two that aren't on there, which I've used on the second card. But when I did this slide, I wasn't doing a second card, so that's why they're not on there. But there's only two, and I'll come to them when I get there. So we're going to stencil this fabulous Floribunda vase, and the detail in this is amazing. It really is just beautiful. So I'm going to start with the Pina Colada, because it's a really soft yellow. The Juicy Pineapple is a little bit too yellow for what I want to use today, for what I want to do. So that's why I'm going in with the Pina Colada. I think I'll stick with that actually. And I'm going to go in, not too hard, but I'm only going around the edge of this aperture. Now, I do this quite a lot. I think Claire does similar, and I know Natalia likes this method as well, whereby you only put your colour on the edge of the aperture. You'll fill it in with another colour as you go on, but initially you don't go towards the middle. You can do. I'm not saying this is the way to do it. It's a way to do it. You choose whatever way you want to use your stencils and how you feel happy. Okay, so then I'm going second layer. Put that to one side, and I'm going to come in there with Antique Pink. Okay, again I'm using my stencil brushes, and I'm coming over the top of that because I want it to be a sort of a peachy pink. But I really do like this Antique Pink. I think it's such a beautiful colour. And I think it adds to any colour that you put it to. So whatever you use it in conjunction with, it will just complement it beautifully. Now you can see that I've gone over the yellow and going into the middle of this stencil as well. Okay, so where the yellow is, it's going to go sort of a dark peachy colour, and then it will go Antique Pink in the middle. Okay, I like that. So then we're coming to the bit with the vase in, and for this bit I'm going to go with Loganberry. Now I know I used these colours on last week's cards, but I really fell in love with the combination, and the fact that you can get so many different shades of the same colour depending on what pressure you use on your brushes. So I'm going into the middles of these little flowers here with that Loganberry, because it's a little bit darker than the Antique Pink and I want it to stand out. Okay, and then the vase I'm going to do in natural turquoise, because yes, I could do it grey, but the base of my card is natural turquoise card colour, and I wanted to tie it all in. Alright, so I'm going to use the natural turquoise, but I'm going quite light to start with. So I'm going to take a lot of the ink off. Now be careful with these little pieces of the stencil here. If I lift this up, can you see these little pieces here? These will lift quite easily. So brush in the direction of those little pieces of mylar, and then you won't flip them up. Otherwise you're not going to have a white piece where there should be a white piece. Are you with me? Hi Lisa. Okay, so I'm going in here with this natural turquoise, but you can see, I don't know whether you can tell, but I am using really light strokes on here. I'm coming downwards on this side because I don't want to lift this part of the stencil, okay? And then what I will do is I will increase my colour on this side just to give a little bit of shadow on this side of the vase, okay? So without sort of re-inking the brush too much, I'm coming in and sort of just darkening this side, okay? But what I want to do as well, before I take this off, is I want to use the crackle stamp, and I want to just add some detail in here with this crackle stamp. I think of a vase that my grandma used to have in her front room, and it had got this sort of crackly glazed look on it, and I like that on a vase, so I'm going to use it. So I'm using the crackle stamp. I've inked it up and I've taken some of the ink off, so I'm using second generation, so it's not too dark. And I'm using it on my hand because obviously I need some pressure to get in round the lip of that aperture, okay? Because that's going to be quite thick, but it should still pick up that crackle enough that it shows up, okay? And then I'm going down in the bottom part, down there. I think I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I think that's enough. And when it's finished, I think that the finished look is worth the effort, okay? See what I mean? You'll see it better on the one I've already done. So then we're coming in with layer 4. Now I'm going to use my woodland moss here, but for this first set of leaves I am going to go reasonably lightly, because I want 2 different shades of leaves. So again, I'm inking my brush and then I'm taking quite a bit off. I'm going quite light. You can see where I'm holding the stencil brush all the way sort of at the end, so I'm not actually putting a great deal of pressure onto that brush. Okay, and I can pick my ink up from that I've left on the stencil, rather than re-inking and going a little bit too heavy. That's only going to go so far, so we'll have to re-ink at some point. But those first set of leaves up the top there, I can use that ink that I've put on the stencil. So again, I'm coming down here, using the ink that's on the stencil. Probably didn't put enough on. And then just going into those tiny little apertures. These stencil brushes work amazingly with small apertures. They get into every little nook and cranny just how you need it. So go in there with that. Now before I take that off, I am going to go in with some loganberry. So if I just put that up there, I'm going to wipe off some of that excess ink. I'm not worried because the apertures that are open, I've put woodland moss in. So if I'm brushing this, which is woodland moss, it's only going to just add to what I've put down, okay? So then I'm going to take the loganberry and I'm just going to lightly sweep over the bottoms of those leaves, okay? I know I do this a lot, but I really like the effect. So I'm coming into those leaves there. You can do as much or as little as you want, depends what look you're after. I really like the effect that it gives. So I'm okay if I sort of go a little bit too heavy, but ideally you just want it to give a tint to the bottoms of those leaves. You might not be able to see it there, but I will hold it up in a minute when I've finished. And then you've got a second set of leaves. So on this set, I am going to go slightly heavier with that woodland moss, because obviously I want the leaves to look a different colour. So we're going to come in here. I'm not going to take much of the ink off that stencil brush. That top one's probably a little bit too heavy, but we'll live with it. It's not going to ruin the whole thing. So never worry if you do go a little bit heavy like that, and you're concerned that it's just too heavy and it's spoilt the whole thing. Don't throw it away. Take the stencil off, clean it off with a bit of water or a baby wipe or something like that. Just clean the colour ink off, and then go over the top of it with either your falling snow blending ink or the opaque white. Either one, just to take the depth of colour out of those leaves. And it should sort of take the colour out and give you the finish that you were after in the first place. So again, I'm just going to brush in, take that off there. Just going to brush in some of that loganberry, and because I've gone darker here, I can afford to go a little bit heavier with the loganberry as well. So it's personal preference. It's whatever look you're after, whatever look you're happy with, and then just go with the flow, basically. Have fun, enjoy it. I like that. And then lastly, I don't know what I've put the lid on that for, because I'm going to use it. Lastly, I'm coming in with all the sort of detail on those little flowers, and then the stems that go with the leaves. So I'm going over everything with loganberry. And then when I've done that with loganberry, I'm going to go over the stems part with my woodland moss, so that it sort of makes them a bit brown, but it saves me using an actual brown ink, so I'm not using an extra ink pad. Let me just, can't see your comments, that's better. Just catch up with your comments. Natural turquoise is a beautiful colour. Yeah, you could do that, Janet. That crackle stamp is just, it's so versatile. I use it in so many different projects. So I'm going to take the woodland moss, and where these stems are for the leaves, I'm just going to go over that with that woodland moss, and that's going to just make those little stems a bit more of a browny colour, rather than them being that loganberry colour, which is, still nice, but I want them to look a little bit brown. So I'm just trying to make sure that I don't go into the markings on the flowers. I'm just doing the stems on the leaves. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So then you would cut that out and emboss it. Or if I just lift that up, I can get it off my sticky mat. They're so good. So if you see where I've put that crackle stamp, if I hold it still, it'll focus. It just gives that vase a little bit of different interest. And you can see here where I've come in from the side, just to give it a bit of shadow, because obviously that's quite a big flower, so it's going to be a little bit shaded here. I could have put a little bit under here, but I didn't. But I really like that. I think that's really nice colours. In fact, on the one that I did ready in preparation, I put some loganberry in the middle of the flowers as well. So if I show you the one that I've done, you can see it's virtually the same, but here I've gone in with loganberry as well, and it just darkens the centre of those flowers up a little bit. Okay, so yeah, you could do that as well, Rebecca. The other thing you could do is use the Stay Tacky glue and use some of the gilding flakes because that would then also give you a really shiny finish. So, you know, that's 3 different ways of using the crackle stamp to do the same thing, just gives you a different effect. Okay, so let's move on to the card that we're going to put it on. Now, as I said, this is based on a card that Mary Kelly, and Sandy did ask me, would I demo it? So I said yes. Now, originally I was going to do an 8x8 card, but I've made it all up and everything, and then when I put my vase on the front, it looked lost. So I've adjusted it, and these measurements are for a 6x6 card. Okay, so your base card, as it says there, is 6x6. Okay, it doesn't matter what size you make this. You could do it 6x6, 7x7, 5x7. It doesn't matter. All you need to remember is that the pieces that make the bridges need to be 2 inches longer than the width of your card. Okay, otherwise it won't work. Okay, so you can see there my base card is 6x6, or you could use a 6x6 card blank. It's up to you. I'm doing mine so that hopefully it will stand up on its own. Okay, hopefully, because I haven't actually tried it. And then you need some coloured card, and I've used this beautiful turquoise, hence the reason I've used the turquoise on the vase. And these pieces measure 8 by 2 1/4. Okay, so 2 1/4 deep, 8 inches long, and you're going to score it at 1 inch, 2 inches, 6 inches, and 7 inches. Okay, and then you're going to mountain fold and valley fold the 2 end pieces, so that you end up with a piece that's going to sit like that. So that's your bridge part. Okay, but you can see here that I've added my embossed pieces, and it says there your contrasting card. I've used a sort of a grey tone card. It's texture card, and these measure. You'll need 2 of these because they're going on each bridge. Okay, so they measure. Where have I put them? Oh, I haven't put it down. What a twit. Anyway, let me tell you. Oh, do you know, if I got a brain, I'd be dangerous. So this piece here measures 4 inches. So this piece that's going on top is 3 7/8. Okay, this is 2 1/4 deep, so it's 2 1/8 for my embossed piece. Okay, so cut the card first and then emboss them, and they fit beautifully inside that sandstone wall embossing folder. Okay, because they're just the right width, and you can do 2 at the same time. Okay, so cut your card, then emboss it, and then you're going to need 8 pieces, which are really small, and those 8 pieces which are on that card are 7/8 by 2 1/8. Okay, so same depth, just 7/8 wide, because these are obviously an inch wide where you've scored. Okay, again, cut the card and then emboss it, and then stick them all down. And I've done that to save a little bit of time, because there's nothing more boring than watching somebody sitting and gluing 10 pieces of card to 2 pieces of card. So I thought I'll do that ahead of time. Okay, so if I just put those there for now. On the back of the card, I've used a piece that is 5 7/8 in my turquoisey card, so that it all matches, and then I've used a piece of white card which is 5 6/8. Okay, so I've gone down an eighth each time, and then I've used those beautiful off the edge vintage roses. I've used the smaller of the 2 stamps, and I've just stamped it in the corner in full, and then in the opposite corner I've come off the card a little bit, so that I've still got some image, but not as much, because I didn't want it to encroach too much. I wanted to leave plenty of space here for writing a greeting or whatever you would write to, you know, when you send in a card. Okay, so that's the back, and I also did that hopefully to give it some more stability when you try and stand it up. I'm doing all this with crossed fingers because, as I say, I'm just hoping it will stand up. So we've got all our pieces of card. So I'm just going to attach these now to my base card. And the easiest way to do it, I'm using Lisa's Fabulous Glue, because I know that once I've used this card isn't going to go anywhere, because this glue is so fabulous. Probably gone a bit over the top there, but never mind. And then we're going to place this down. I will take my mat away because I don't want to get glue on it. Put that there out of the way. And I'm going to place this down top corner and try and line it up as flush as you can get it with the side and the top. Okay, so you want it to be flush at the top and at the side, and just hold that in place until that takes. Okay, now the easiest way to glue the other side is to decide which way you're going to fold this when you put it in your envelope, because it folds flat for posting. Okay, so push that so that the main piece sits over your first 1 inch band, and then this should fit all the way to the edge. If you've got a tiny little piece, which you can see here, I've probably got a really tiny slither here, you can either leave it or trim it off. It's entirely up to you. I will see what it looks like when I've finished as to whether I trim it off or leave it. If it's the smallest slither, I don't think it's worth bothering with. So make sure you keep it straight along the top, because obviously you don't want to see that white card at the top. And then just hold it down until that glue takes. It will only take a couple of seconds because this glue is fabulous. It is, Connie, it is the best glue ever. Okay, so when you let go of that, that will stand up and that will be your first bridge. Do you see? That's your first bridge. So I'm hoping, oh look, it stands up. Wonders will never cease. So again, we're doing exactly the same. Not Seeing Mary's card. It's a beautiful purple based card with the brickwork embossing folder, Lorraine. It's lovely. But so I thought I didn't want to use purple because I'm always using purple, and I didn't want to copy. I just wanted to use it as inspiration, so that's why I went for a totally different colour. You know, sort of turquoise and greens aren't colours I use a lot of. I'm a sort of a pastel-y colours person, really. So might adjust your back of the card if you. It might, Donna, you're quite right. But as I say, as it's only the smallest slither, I probably won't bother, because you see it goes right to the edge on the bottom. I'm not sure why it does it, because everything's measured accurately, but whatever. You know that chap that comes by on that horse, he never noticed, so I'm leaving it. If he doesn't see it, that's good enough for me. So then you're doing exactly the same, folding that one back, lining it up with the edge of your card, and then just holding it down for a couple of seconds. Just so that glue takes. Okay, so that is the basis of your card. And because this one matches right to the edge, I'm not going to worry about this bit up here, because I really don't think it's going to make that much difference. So when you stand it up, look, it stands up, yay! Fabulous. Okay, so then you just need to add on your die cut piece, like so. So you're only going to glue at the top here and down the bottom here, because that's all you need. And when you glue it, I would recommend that you lie it flat so that you can put some pressure on that to glue it down. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. If you want to, you can have this sitting right on the edge here if you wanted to. You can place that wherever you like. Don't put it over the edge this side, because obviously when you fold it flat to put it in the envelope, that's going to stick out over the edge of the card. Okay, and you don't want that. But because you're folding it that way to put it in the envelope, you can have it hanging over the edge this side if you wanted to. Okay, I actually quite like that. I think that looks really quite nice, so I might just do that. So I'm just going to do the very tops here of these leaves with my glue. Does that one? Just do that one as well. And then making sure that it's about right. I'm going to put that one down there, and then I'm going to add my glue on here. Make sure your vase is straight though before you stick it down, unlike what I just did. Okay, and I'm going to lift it away and I'm going to add my glue down the bottom, because that way I can see where I need to add the glue and I'm not going to go over the edge, because the last thing you need is to stick your card and make the bridge, this piece stick to the card behind, because you don't want that, do you really? So I'll stick that down there like so, and that's going to give your bridge a little bit more stability as well. I will rub that bit of glue off with my residue eraser afterwards. Okay, and then you just need to add your sentiment. So again, like I say, I've used those mini sentiment strips because they're just fabulous. And what I've done is I've stamped it in the natural turquoise, this one, and I've just left a white border all the way around, just so that it stands out against that card. If you don't want to leave the border, you don't have to. If you don't want a large border like that, again, you don't have to. But that's what I decided to do. And I've used some 3D pads on the back just to give this a little bit of height, just to make it stand out over and above this beautiful embossed vase. And I'm just going to pop that up the top like so, making sure it's straight, because I hate wonky sentiments. There we go. So there you go. Simple. Don't need a full card. If you don't want to use a card blank and you've just got some, just spare bits of card, then you can make that without using a card blank. Yes, thank you for that, Bonnie. Yes, you can. Okay, so that's the one. And then because I really liked the card that Sue did, I had a bit of a practice. And I did this just on a piece of just ordinary white scrap card that I got. And I inked the folder in anthracite, then embossed it, and then I went over the top with the same anthracite just to pick out the really raised pieces on those roses. I really like that. I'm going to use that on a future project because I really like that. But the piece that I'd already done, if I reach it out, I've got 2 ink pads here. I've already done my base card, and you can see I've used the nested rectangles, those. No, and then not on the product list, because as I say, when I did the product list, I wasn't making 2 cards. And I've also used the postage rectangles. I love this set. I adore this set. This is so useful. I've also used the fine liner pens, and I'll show you where in a second. So there's the background embossing folder for the Floribunda. And you can see here that I've just cut one of the rectangles that fits on that scalloped edge piece. And I've randomly just inked using the same colours that I've used today. But I've gone quite light with these. So this is Loganberry, Pina Colada and the natural turquoise. And you can see they're quite different to the colours that ended up on here. Because these are heavier and these are lighter. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just find the deboss side of the folder, bring it this side. Now, when I did that green piece, this piece, the background colour is anthracite, but for this, because this is lighter colours, I think anthracite might be a little bit too dark. So I'm going to go on here with my cobblestones. Okay, so I'm just going to ink up the folder. Let's move these out of the way, and then I've got a flat surface to work on. I'm going to use the cobblestones, and I'm just going to ink the whole of that side of the folder like so. Okay, and I know Natalia's done a couple of reels, or a reel for this, and she spritzed hers with water. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to put my piece of card down on this side. That way I don't have to touch any of this. And then I'm going to flip that over, and then I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. So just bear with 2 secs. Okay, I quite like that. I think that's really nice. I could go over it again. I could re-ink this folder in cobblestones and make that darker, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave that exactly how it is because I really like the effect. Okay, so I'm going to lift this out of here. I'll just rinse that under the tap. That will be absolutely perfect. And then on here, I'm just going to put my mat here, and then I won't get ink on my messy mat. That sounds quite daft, doesn't it? I'm not going to get ink on my messy mat. That's what it's for, but never mind. So you can see that I've got embossed pieces here, okay? And I'm literally just going to dab. I dragged on this one, and I think you can see if I lift it up, you can probably see the drag marks. And I don't really want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just literally going to dab gently on this embossed piece with my anthracite ink, and what that's going to do, hopefully, is pick up all those raised pieces on that off that embossing folder. I'm going round actually in little circles as opposed to dragging it. You don't have to be overly fussy. It depends how dark you want it to be. You can go as dark as you want. You can just keep going. But I'm just gonna stop. And that's enough. Okay. So then you've got your background. You've got your colours that are on there that you put on the card in the first place, and then your darker pieces that have picked out those embossed pieces on your card. Okay. So I think it's still a little bit wet. So I just need to be a bit careful because I've got ink on my hands now. Bear with while I just get rid of some of this because I don't want to ruin the whiteness of the base card. Okay, so I'm going to glue it down straight because I don't want to mess around with foam pads, because I don't want to get ink everywhere because I know it's not 100% dry. So just pick that up, add my glue. Now I'd be reasonably generous with your glue because obviously this is a beautifully deep embossed piece of card and you want your glue to stick everywhere. So I'd be a little bit more generous than I otherwise would be on a piece of ordinary card. And then I'm just going to pop this down on here like so. And then press it down. And the beauty of this background folder is you could use it white on white. You could do pale colours like I did on the one that I put in the group this morning. You could go really dark colours. It's totally up to you. And then all I've done is I've taken that mini sentiments, what are they called again? Oh, if I'd got a memory, I'd be dead clever. This set, mini sentiments, I was right. And all I've done is using those fine liner pens, I don't know whether you can pick it out. I've just gone round the sort of the curves on the letters and just added some little dots. I just think it gives it a bit of a funky look. Can you see that? If I bring it, can you see them? So I've just picked out little areas where I've just added just some little dots, and I've used this a sort of a similar colour pen because there's so many fabulous colours in that pen set that, you know, there is more or less a colour that will match anything you're using. And then all I'm going to do is add that right in the middle, like so. And there you go. So if I just show you the pens, see how many different colours there are there? Show you the lid end. Look at those. How fabulous are those? There's a colour there for everything, isn't there? Yeah. I also need to tell you that, you know, the fabulous silicone mats, these beauties, on Create and Craft at the moment, they are half price. That is, believe me, that is a cracking deal. The code that you would need is 842924, and that's for your silicone mat at half price. Could you use embossing powder on it and then heat it? On here, don't see any reason why not. If you use the embossing ink pad, you know, the emboss it, and then add your powder and then heat emboss it. Yeah, I don't see any reason why you couldn't, Katie. I just like the black effect, so I shall use this on another project at some point in the future. But I think that looks, for such a quick card, you know, you could have done it in just white and then picked out the embossing in any colour really. It doesn't have to be based on colours in the background. It could just be a totally white piece of card embossed and then just pick out the raised bits. So very, very, oh, the fine liners are half price too. Wow. What does that make them then, Lisa? They are, Katie, they are so useful and they're so lush in ink. You know, sometimes you buy pens and you go to use them and you think, oh, that's dried out. I've had these ever since they came out and they are as good today as they were the day I bought them. So, you know, they are a cracking set of pens. I think, I think they were $24.99 when they first came out. Is that right, Lisa? Which makes them, what, about $12.99 now? I haven't looked on Create and Craft, I have to be honest, so I'm not 100% certain, but at half price, these will be brilliant and they will last you for ages. So, silicone mat, half price, 842924 is your code for your silicone mat. I've got a couple. I might have a couple more, I don't know yet. And then the fine liner pens again. Oh, right. Oh, yes. I remember. Yeah. So there's these, and where are they? The gel pens. I've got them somewhere. I can't see them right at this minute. But then I wasn't expecting to use them. So let me just see if I can. Find them. There we go. Those. These are lovely. And the beauty of these is that they show up on black card. And they are, you know, when you're using the interference inks, and your interference inks show up on black card, these are the same. And these show up on black card beautifully. I did a card, it might have been with these actually. I think it might have been the Wisteria. I'm not sure. But I did it, I coloured it all with these pens, but I did it in just dots. Oh, took me ages, but it looked really lovely when I'd finished. And they are such beautiful, beautiful pens. And again, these will last you forever as well. They've got such a lot of ink in them that they're just so beautiful. I don't think Lisa works with the manufacturer that she had these from. So, you know, these are never to be seen again, I don't think. And the same with these. So if you can get them on a really good cracking deal, thank you for that, Lisa. You can see there Lisa's put the link up. $19.99 for both, less your 10% club discount. That's a cracking deal. They really are worth the money. They really are, I promise. So there you go. 2 cards and an extra bit. Just using 3 of those pieces from that Floribunda collection. It is so versatile. And the little elements set, it really is a beautiful set, this one, because you can make your own displays up. You can make your own little vases of flowers up. You can just use these, or you can just use the roses, and you can put them wherever you want. You can make it as big as you want or as small as you want. It's a beautiful set. It really is. So, you know, I think you're going to have a lot of fun. You've got the gel pens but never used them. Margaret, naughty girl. Well, it's obviously going to pay for itself then, Janet, is it? They are fabulous. I've got to be honest, they are. So there you go. That's Mary's pop-out double bridge card, and the card that I've sort of based on the one that Sue did. Although Sue's was very dark compared to mine, and it looked so moody. It was a beautiful card. So, you know, lots of inspiration, and as you've seen all the samples in the group of the girls, you know, there's lots of inspiration for you. I think we're all quite different, although we have similar ideas sometimes. So the cards are there for you to take inspiration from. So please, you know, do, and then share your makes in the group. Okay, so I will love you and leave you there. Claire will be with you tomorrow at 2 o'clock as usual, and then back with you again on Thursday at 2. And then Lisa will be on TV tomorrow at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m, Wednesday at 8 a.m, and then she is zooming in to Create and Craft on the Thursday from her own studio. But I can't remember what time, Lisa. Can't remember what time on Thursday. Is that a morning one or an 5 p.m. 5 p.m. you said, didn't you? Yeah, I'm sure that's what she said. 5 p.m. on the Thursday, and that will be the edge dies. And again, they're beautiful too. So, you know, I'm just preaching to the converted, really, aren't I, here? So, yeah, I'm going now. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you all get what you want to get, and then have fun. So enjoy your week, and I'll see you all very soon.